This is a Singular Peregrine, and it's probably the sort of bike that more of us should be riding, and a complete opposite to a modern carbon fibre race bike. I mean, we have fat, wide tyres, a lovely steel frame with relaxed geometry, and nice low easy gears, and even a Brook saddle for ultimate comfort. So Singular is a small British company, and the original Peregrine was launched way back in 2007, and it was definitely ahead of its time as a versatile fat-tired drop-bar road bike. It definitely harks back to the 1930s, the French randonneur bikes with fat balloon tyres like this, but have been left by the wayside in a march towards more stiffness and more performance and more aerodynamics that we've seen with carbon fibre race bikes that tend to dominate the road cycling scene. But this is the latest version of the Peregrine. It still has lots in common with the original, launched all those years ago, but now has increased tyre clearance, so up to 700 by 55 or 27.5 by 65 mm tyres if you want. We've got flat mount disc brakes and through axles, which weren't even around back in 2007. Modified geometry and a few added changes to bring it bang up to date, yet retain the looks of a classic road bike with a lugged Columbus steel frame and fork. So, looks great. How's it ride? Well, let's go for a spin and find out. It's clearly not a race bike, but it's definitely not slow and feels light and fast along my local country roads. These fat tyres, combined with a steel frame and the geometry, work really well on these roads. I'm happily doing 30k an hour with the same sort of power input as I would on my giant TCR carbon fibre race bike. High speed definitely take a bit more effort, but it's not a race bike. It's not designed for high speed. It's designed for cruising, wafting around the Cotswold country lanes from pub to cafe with some light luggage, riding all day from sunrise to sunset, taking in the views, riding for the sheer pleasure of riding bikes. Not about KOMs or Strava or average speed or power output, none of that. The geometry is pretty laid back as well, more laid back than a road race bike, more similar to a gravel bike these days. So a slacker 71-degree head angle, got a longer trail as well, quite long, and that gives fantastic straight line stability. It does take a bit more kind of muscle to get it into a corner, but once it bangs over into the corner, it holds its line extremely well. But then we have quite a low bottom bracket, so you sit nicely in the bike, have that very secure feeling. The front end is quite low though, quite a short head tube, and the front end is perhaps lower than I would like, maybe a more upright stem, just to give a bit more of a upright riding position for longer distance comfort. But it does feel quite good at the moment, definitely feels a bit racier than you might expect. Okay, let me walk you around some details on this lovely looking bike. I personally love the vintage look of the bike, the way it harks back to a previous era of road bike design. Not everybody's cup of tea, I'm sure, but quite refreshing in this world of cookie cutter carbon fibre race bikes. So the frame is made from Columbus tubing with lugs at the head tube and seat tube cluster, and I think it looks absolutely fantastic. We even have a matching steel fork as well, with a lovely graceful curve to its blade and a box section crown at the top. The frame is decorated with mounts for everything, racks, mud guards, you name it. And then we have an eccentric bottom bracket. So an oversized bottom bracket shell allows you to adjust the chain tension, ideal if you're running a single speed or just adjusting for different wheel sizes. And the frame and fork will take up to a 700 by 55 or 650B by 65. So plenty of options to fit a tyre, whether slick like this or a more knobby tyre for proper off-roading. The fantastic thing about these tyres is that when you run out of road, tarmac, asphalt, well, you can keep riding. Gravel tracks, dirt tracks, farm tracks, byways, bridleways, wooden trails, these tyres, provided it's dry, cope just fine. So no limits to where you ride, on road, off road. That gives a bike fantastic all-round versatility on your country lane roads like I'm riding now, and then some gravel, farm tracks, woodland trails. It can handle all that fine, provided it's dry. So a really good bike for dealing with the sort of roads that most of us are riding on. The frame isn't mega stiff and it's not super lightweight, but for riding, cruising, undulating roads like I have here in the Cotswolds, it works just fine. And there's more than enough stiffness to ensure it doesn't feel like a flexy noodle through the corners, and it climbs very sprightly as well. Definitely a comfortable long day, long distance cruising bike. Add some bags, some sandwiches, and you'll be set for a happy day on the bicycle out in the countryside. Now, this bike was built with an assortment of parts that the founder Sam had lying around. You buy the frame set on its own and then you build it yourself. They don't offer complete builds unless you really ask them nicely. So this is just an example of how you might build it. There are some bits I like and dislike about the build, so I won't go into too much detail. The tyres are the crowning glory on this build for sure, but other bits I would change. I'm not really a fan of the bar end shifter and the hoods, but the Brook saddle I absolutely love. It's been a long time since I rode a Brook saddle, and that I can get back on board with definitely. So it's definitely a frame you build yourself. And on that note, why don't you let me know in the comment section below how you would build a frame like this if you had a chance. Love to hear your thoughts and the sort of direction you would go with a build on a frame like this. More modern, perhaps, some electronic gears, or more retro in keeping with the look of the frame. This is a bike for somebody who craves maximum comfort. Got fat tyres at low pressures, a Brooks leather saddle, and a steel frame and fork, and a relaxed geometry. Gives something close to a magic carpet ride. And if you're put off by modern cookie cutter carbon fibre bikes, then this might be a nice alternative. I love the way the bike looks, I love the way it rides. Silky smooth, you ride on road and off road, super relaxed handling as well. Just a bike for the ages, a bike you can ride all day, every day, on road and gravel quite happily. Anyway, that is my review of a Singular Peregrine. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment down below and don't forget to like and subscribe. But I'll see you all again next time. Thank you so much for watching.